Hello everybody and happy holidays. Sarah Robinson with Chicago Film News, and we are really excited today to have Ian Simmons as a special guest from Kicking the Seat. Ian, can you tell our viewers a little bit about Kicking the Seat before we go any further?
Yes, it's a movie podcast and film review site from the last guy anyone asks, and that's me. I started about 8 years ago, and somewhere along that journey I joined the Chicago Film Critics Association as a professional reviewer. So yeah, every week talk about movies with a rotating cast of characters, and I also write capsule reviews about the latest, greatest movies, and not so great.
Well, speaking of the latest and greatest, have you seen Star Wars?
Wait, which one?
The newest one.
Oh, The Last Jedi. Yes, I've seen it 3 times in the last 7 days.
So you're a little fan?
I'm obsessed.
You're obsessed?
I've got problems, yeah. What I like most about this movie, written and directed by Rian Johnson, is the way that it upends everything fans have come to know and love about Star Wars in the last 40 years. It's a very divisive move, far more divisive than I had anticipated. I came out of an early screening thinking, oh, this is bold, it's revolutionary, he's taking us places we never imagined Star Wars needed to go, but fan reaction has been swift and brutal despite the nearly $250 million box office. People are saying Disney has ruined Star Wars and all that jazz, and I'm not buying it.
You're not buying it?
Not at all.
Now, we all know that Carrie Fisher died after this was filmed. Without giving any spoilers, do you think that the movie paid homage to her as a person and her as somebody that has owned that character forever?
Yes, and I think this is the most screen time, I believe, that we've had with Princess Leia in a single movie. Don't quote me on that. But this is a fitting send-off for her as an actress. I don't know that it's a spoiler to say that she survives the film, but I don't know exactly how they're going to tie that up in Episode 9, because J.J. Abrams, who's coming back to write and direct, has said that they're not going to use a CGI Leia and they're not going to recast, so that's the biggest mystery for me.
Now, without any spoilers, what are some of the big questions you walked away with this movie?
When can I see it again? And the answer was almost immediately after,
oh.
Yes. I didn't have any questions. I had, kind of nitpicks here and there about some of the decisions were made. There are some things that felt a little bit clunky in the story that could have maybe used a second pass. But overall, and I got a lot more out of it the second and third time I watched it to really dig in deep to some of the themes. And those, I guess, answered any minor quibbles or questions. I don't think it's a perfect film, but it's perfect enough for me. And I think that's a lot of the backlash that we've seen is coming from people who I think watched the movie once and it wasn't what they expected, and they're saying, I'm not going to watch this again, I'm never going to see Star Wars again, this is terrible. I think they would really benefit from revisiting it. And one of the most troubling things is something I saw very recently, which is there is a change.org petition to have Star Wars The Last Jedi stricken from the official canon.
No way, really?
Yeah,
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's. I think it came up yesterday or a few days, ago.
Yeah.
It's troubling to me. I don't think people are giving this enough of a chance, considering they had said that the last movie was too much like other Star Wars. This is unlike.
This broke the recipe, and I was anticipating it being kind of falling into the last trilogy, and it definitely did not do that. It kept you on the edge of your seat. It got a little long, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they could have tied everything up shorter though, because there was so much there that just when you thought it was too long, it did pull you back in again.
Yeah, and that's another thing that you benefit from multiple viewings is the first time you watch it, it's 2.5 hours, and you really feel that because it's got 4 or 6 different climaxes. You go back in, you know exactly where things are in the story and the runtime, and I think that frees you up to enjoy more of the subtext and what's really going on with these characters and the larger themes. So, and Mark Hamill famously has said that he clashed with Rian Johnson in the direction that they took Luke's character. I would really like to know from Mark Hamill, if you're listening, what he didn't like about the character, because I think for me this was the perfect finale for Luke Skywalker, given the fact that he's not the same Luke we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi. He's had 3 decades or more of adventures.
Yeah, well, he follows the progression of life that we all can relate with too.
Right. He's older, he's a different person, and he ties back more into the experiences that, say, an Obi-Wan or a Yoda would have had over
He's more transcendental. What do you think of that?
I loved it. I think there is a meditative quality to him, a deep sadness to his character, and I think that might be something that people are reacting to negatively, is he's not optimistic and spunky and taking on the First Order. He's a bit defeated and he's a bit resigned, but there is some redemption, as we find out, and I think it's rather beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful, the whole movie, the colors, the crimson colors, the part of the film when they were on Luke Skywalker's island, everything about that film was eye candy.
Yeah, particularly the scene in Snoke's throne room, where it's, instead of being this overly designed, mechanical thing, there's a little bit of set dressing here and there and just giant red walls. It's sparse and it's bold, much like what Rian Johnson does with the story, and does in particular in that throne room, thematically. So yeah, I can't think of any real problems that I had with this film, and I know that's not that's controversial in of itself, but I think we're both kind of on the same page.
Okay, well, I have a question for you then, because a lot of people that I've heard have a problem with a part of the film that takes place in a casino.
Yes.
They just feel like it's irrelevant. However, without giving anything away, that's where they ended the film. So it's opening up at least one vein, if not several other directions to take movies to, in my opinion. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been revealed that Rian Johnson has been tapped to do another Star Wars trilogy that's not married to what we've seen before. It feels almost like in the Marvel movie, where there's a teaser to some other series or grand adventure that's going to have like a little Easter egg. The casino stuff felt like, thematically to me, that's where Johnson might be taking things, assuming that the backlash isn't great enough to have him taken off those movies, which would be a tragedy. But yeah, I think people have a lot of questions and troubles with the casino section. I think it's necessary. It's kind of the beating heart of the film, with Rose, who is a mechanic who's kind of stuck with Finn going on this mini mission to retrieve a thing that's going to help them do something else. It's very Star Wars. But taking a moment to realize what is going on in this planet. It's not just a bright, fun casino where people go and hang out and gamble. There's a deep, sinister underbelly to this that really speaks to the influence of evil in the galaxy and good trying to rise up to defeat that evil, even though it seems hopeless. And so when people say, the casino stuff, it was bad, yeah, it's a little bit prequel-y in terms of some chase scenes that kind of happen there, but overall, I'm going to use this word again, thematically, it fits perfectly with, I think it is Johnson's mission statement of this film.
So you think that they'll be taking that in a vein, like taking it away from the Jedis and going into a more societal way maybe down the road? I
think so. I mean, I think one of the things we kind of transcend in this movie is the notion of black and white, good and evil, Jedi, Sith. There's a lot more gray area, which I think you can explore. The best science fiction is topical, is relevant to the times in which it was created. So I don't know where we're going to be as a country, as a world, by the time this new trilogy is wrapped up. But if you're talking about writing it in a contemporary sense, there's a wide open field of places you can go with not even heavy-handed social commentary, but the classic kind of good versus evil shades of who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, really, and can anything be answered, wrapped up in a neat little bow.
Spoiler alert.
Oh no.
Give me some spoilers. Did it start the way you expected it to start?
No. I think everyone expected it to start where the last movie left off, with Rey handing Luke the lightsaber on this, recluse island. But it starts with a space battle, as most Star Wars movies do. It's a pretty spectacular one. I think it upsets the expectation of the opening crawl, where it's the First Order is closing in on the last of the rebels, and they're making a daring escape from a planet. You think it's going to be Hoth from Empire Strikes Back Part 2, but it's not. It is a sacrificial kind of space battle. And
it's a brilliant way to bring in a new character. The character of Rose, with her sister dying, is brought in to the trilogy as well.
Yeah, and that was a lovely tie-in with the kind of crescent necklace, which I assume they both shared. They kind of had two halves. But yeah, it didn't start off the way I thought it would. It didn't end the way I thought it would. not all of the surprises were welcome ones. Since we're firmly in spoiler territory now, I can talk about Princess Leia and her Guardians of the Galaxy style resurrection.
Are you talking about the scene where she floats through space?
Yes.
I really thought that was going to be a nice way to say goodbye to Princess Leia, to say goodbye to Carrie Fisher. Then all of a sudden there she was. It was a little bit out of the character of the movie, as it were.
It was very hokey, I think.
Yeah.
And also because I really had to stop and remember that Leia had, who her family was. She ostensibly had the Force all along, but we've never really seen her use it in these movies, except to kind of sense when Luke was nearby at the end of Empire and these kind of little intuitive things. Surviving a space blast and being sucked out into the void and then coming back and Mary Poppinsing your way into a spaceship and all of this stuff. It was very out of character, as you said, for the film. And if there was one gripe I think I had with the movie, a legitimate, just take that out and figure out something else, that would be the scene.
Now, what's something that surprised you about the movie or answered a question that you really liked?
I think it was Rey's parents. The idea that they weren't really anybody, and that it was so sad, that little bit of a line of dialogue, delivered wonderfully by Adam Driver. He was bluntly telling her, yeah, your parents sold you for drinking money, and now they're dead in a pauper's grave on this desert planet. I'm glad she wasn't someone's significant daughter, and this means she's the heir to the Jedi throne or the Empire's throne or anything. It was a simple explanation that says a lot about her character and what the movie is trying to say about her character.
Now, Driver, he played Kylo Ren.
Yes.
He had, so much of this movie was focused on his internal conflict. Were you surprised at the way it finished, at least for now, dealing with that?
Yeah, I thought at one point he was going to perhaps turn to the light side and maybe Rey would turn to the dark side. Again, I fell victim to a little bit of the fan speculation in between the last film and this one, but I'm glad he's still evil, and even though we are meant to believe that he is irredeemable now because of the things he does in this movie, I still, partially it's because of it's Adam Driver and his performance, I still feel that empathy. I don't want to spend any time with him, but I feel sorry for him, that it's really tragic that he didn't see the light.
Spoilers are done. Any last words of advice you want to give to somebody that is seeing this, or any big agreements, disagreements on Star Wars that you just have a strong opinion about?
I have a strong opinion about the backlash, but I realize that people watch movies, they bring their own baggage in, and they have a set of expectations. And if someone comes in and kicks over the chess table, it's understandable that there's going to be hurt feelings, so I get it. I would say, if you haven't seen the film yet, go see it with an open mind. If you've seen the film and you hated it, go back and watch it again. Even if you wait for home video or you rent it or whatever, watch it with your arms unfolded, breathe, kind of bring it down a bit.
Put your expectations to the side.
Or just have no expectations and just kind of be open to the movie. If you still hate it after a second viewing, well, you're just going to hate the movie, but you might find some things, some levels of understanding that you hadn't picked up on the first time because you're like, wait, they did what? So that's all I would say.
What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment below. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Follow us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. I'm sitting here with Kicking the Seats, Ian Simmons. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays.